This is Cindy Vandover. I'm a marine scientist from the College of William & Mary, and I'm aboard the icebreaker Lawrence M. Gould in the Southern Ocean, just west of the Antarctic Peninsula. Overnight, we have moved inshore to an area where there are still remnants of last winter's sea ice. The importance of sea ice to the marine ecosystem in this area cannot be overstated, as emphasized by Dr. Hugh Ducklow with the Virginia Institute of Marine Science.
Everything is very closely tied to the annual cycle of the advance and retreat and the extent and the duration of sea ice cover.
What is it about sea ice that is so essential to this ecosystem? Bill Fraser of the Polar Oceans Research Group tells us one reason why sea ice is so important.
What you see at the bottom of floes are completely brown or completely green. If the ship happens to hit a floe and break it and the floe turns over, you see what looks like a golf course colored mat of brown and green slime. It's just a very, very rich plant community.
This slimy plant community, made up mostly of diatoms and microscopic algae, is embedded and grows in the ice in the fall and persists in the ice through the winter. In the spring, the diatoms and algae are released as the ice melts and are thought to be important in seeding the water column and in the subsequent development of the spring phytoplankton bloom. Dr. Robin Ross of the University of California in Santa Barbara describes the water conditions that allow this springtime bloom, the so-called marginal ice edge bloom, to form.
As the sea ice melts and retreats, it leaves behind this lens of less salty water, and the phytoplankton within that lens are up in this shallow mix layer. If the lens didn't exist, then the wind mixing would create a deeper mixing depth. The phytoplankton would spend less time at the surface, and the overall growth is going to be less.
So in the fall and winter, phytoplankton is locked in the ice, and in the spring and summer, phytoplankton blooms in the water column. Who consumes this primary production in the sea ice and in the water column? Antarctic krill. Robin Ross.
Antarctic krill would remind you of a shrimp if you looked at them. They have little black eyes and antennae and 5 pairs of swimming legs, but they are really just a cousin of the shrimp.
There are 2 times in the life history of krill when sea ice is particularly important.
These times are in the austral spring when the females are trying to store lipid or fat for generating eggs in their ovaries, and then during the first winter of life for the young.
Bill Fraser.
Larval krill cannot survive winter without the availability of the phytoplankton community that develops underneath the sea ice during the winter.
A krill census is an important part of this annual cruise. Krill abundance will be related to phytoplankton production in the water column and to the timing, duration, and extent of the winter sea ice coverage.